Martin Sorrell, CEO WPP. WPP is a way of life. I mean, the best way of expressing it, I found over the years, is Bill Shankly, who was a famous Liverpool manager, and he said, football is not a matter of life and death, it's more important than that. And WPP is not a matter of life and death, it's more important than that. So everything about WPP is very personal, because you start it with two people in a room, about a quarter the size of this, and you're paranoid about going back to a room with two people. So this is all very personal. I mean, if we win a piece of business, I take personal satisfaction. If we lose a piece of business, I take umbrage. So it is a matter of life and death, as Shankly said. The man who was the chairman of the industrial holding company, of which my father's retail company was a part, was a man called Charles Hayward. And he said to me, "My boy, what do you want to do when you grow up?" I said, "Please, sir, I want to go into business." So he said, "Well, if you want to go into business, what you should do is to go to Harvard Business School." And when I graduated from Cambridge, I got a place. And then, I went from HBS to Glendenning Associates, which was a marketing consultancy, which we now own half of, or the non-US part of. Then to Mark McCormack, who was famous for having, at that time, managing Arnold Palmer, Gary Player, and Jack Nicklaus. But, sports management, people management. And then I then met James Gulliver, who was a food retailing entrepreneur, who had general interests as well. And one of his interests was in a stake in Saatchi's, or what became Saatchi's. That's how I got into the advertising industry, became their CFO for 9 years. My father went to school, they were in the East End of London, in Stepney, and went to school, had to leave school at 13, and then went into the radio and electrical business and was very successful as the managing director of a radio and electrical firm. I wouldn't say my mother was a strong Jewish mother, but she was a sort of very loving Jewish mother. And, my father sort of doted on me and I doted on him. He was very instrumental, I think, in sort of guiding me. But he was not an owner, he was a manager. And I think the central sort of thrust of what I wanted to do, which, when I had my attack of andropause in 1985, was to try and build my own business, or build our own business. I thought it was my last chance, or the last chance saloon, to start something. So we started something from scratch when I was 40 in 1985, and we bought into a company called Wire and Plastic Products. And it was a small engineering company that made wire baskets for supermarkets and pots and pans, which we still own, but obviously it's now a very, very small part of the business. And today, WPP is an advertising, media investment management, which is media planning and buying, information, insight and consultancy, which is really market research, public relations and public affairs, branding and identity, healthcare communications, and direct digital interactive business. You'd have to go back to 1987. And WPP was worth about 150 million pounds at the time, and we made a bid for JWT of about $525 million. But JWT was 16 times our size. So I think when you say what was the sort of, I think that was a very important moment. And the slough of despond, or the slough of despond, was 91, 92, when we were having exceptional difficulties. We were over-leveraged. And we had a very tough time at that point in time, but came through it. I mean, I think the true test is when you have difficulties. When everything's going well, it's fine. In the 1990s, all you had to do was come into the office and stand up. It's how you deal with the difficult things in life that are important.